Hi, this is The Great Expanse. Today I'm going to go out of my comfort zone here and work on what I think is going to be a puzzle game. The entire concept for this project came from one idea, which is, what if you played as a god in space and could move planets and stars around? I thought the concept could be cool, so everything is going to revolve around that. No idea what the objective is going to be or anything else, but I'll figure it out as I go. Starting out, what I think is most important is the ability to move around through space, so I need to implement a system where you can click and drag to where you want to go. I made some simple textures just to see the dragging in action. I would love to say that it worked first try, because it was a very simple script, but it didn't. After fixing multiple issues, it works pretty well now. I even added drag so it'll slow down if released, instead of coming to a complete stop, which I really wasn't going to bother doing, but I think it makes a big difference. As you may have noticed, the background is static and isn't actually acting as a background, so I needed to loop around on itself so it looks good. And here it is, looks pretty good. The background randomly rotates as well, so it doesn't appear so uniform. Now it's time to fill up this empty void with some celestial bodies. I made a few planets, stars, a comet, and a black hole as well. I'll definitely make more, but this is just to get started. They'll probably all have different properties. I don't know, I still haven't worked out the gameplay yet. That's not important though. I figured that all the planets looked kind of flat, so I made a shader that creates a glow around the edges of planets and stars, and I think it makes a world of difference. Please don't leave. Here's all of them for comparison. The next step is going to be the ability to move these bodies around, so I'm starting with an outline for when they're selected. I couldn't be bothered to make it myself, so I borrowed this shader. I'll link the download in the description. And then I realized I didn't leave any space along the edge of my sprites, so I had to go back and add another few pixels of empty space around everything. There it is in all its glory. I added a little more space than I needed, just in case. Now I'm realizing I don't know how I'm adding both the glow shader and the outline shader onto the same sprites. Well, I'm going to interrupt this actual progress with making the title thing. It's because I thought of a name and an idea for what I want the logo to look like, not because I didn't want to deal with the problem of multiple shaders. I actually haven't even looked into it at all yet, so I don't even know if it's going to be annoying or not. Oh dang, I'm done. I'm just as surprised as you are that the word benevolent is spelled correctly. I finished making this and then panicked because I didn't actually check the correct spelling, but I got it. I guess I have to work on the shaders now. Yay. Okay, so yeah, as far as I know, you can't put multiple shaders onto one sprite or material, so it seems like I'm going to have to merge the shaders together, which is kind of annoying. I wanted to have the ability to easily add more in the future, but oh well. So I created the script to drag the planets around, and here it is. When you hover over, a white border appears, and when you click on it, the border becomes green. It looks pretty nice. Next, I think, should be the gravity and physics between the planets. I figured from the very start that the hardest and most frustrating part would be creating the orbits of the planets and stars, but hopefully this will be very, very easy if Unity's physics system is any good. Otherwise, it's going to be a nightmare. I have some hope though, but that might be a mistake. So starting out, I'm creating a script for the celestial bodies that allows them to attract and be attracted by the gravity of other objects. I'm storing a static list of all the gravitationally affected objects, so each object can exert their force on every other object. And if the body is set as immovable, it just won't be added to that list, but can still access it, so it can still exert gravity. Certain bodies, like stars and black holes, won't be able to be attracted by other things. I know that's not realistic. Screw Newton. It was actually really easy. The universal law of gravitation came in clutch on this one. I knew I took physics for a reason. Never mind. Thank you, Mr. Newton. And I can set the initial velocity so we can get stable orbits, like this, which is pretty neat. While playing around with this, I discovered some unintended behavior that gave me a really good idea. When you select a planet, its velocity doesn't go away, because I never set it to 0. Before seeing this, I was questioning whether or not the player should be able to release planets with a velocity after letting go, like to be able to throw them around. But I didn't want to do that because it would be inconsistent and frustrating to do accurately. But if I leave this behavior in, you can freeze a planet in place and release it somewhere else with the same stored speed. I think there's a lot of potential with this idea, and I was pretty excited about it. I'm realizing that these systems devolve into entropy really quickly, so as much as I wanted this system to rely on physics alone, I'm gonna need to manually set what planets attract to what. For example, the gravity of individual planets really screw with each other's orbits, so I may need to just stop their pulls on one another. I guess it makes sense that I have to do this, because if this were to be realistic, the sun would be like 300,000 times larger than the planets, and the planets would have to be absurdly far away. For now, I'm just not allowing planets to attract anything. I may have to alter this later when I want to add moons that orbit them. Now we need some sort of barrier, so I made this stardust field which will destroy planets and stars that touch it. And I wanted it to be able to have whatever shape I wanted, so I set a mesh renderer over a polygon collider. I'm completely ignoring the idiotic slope terrain solution I created for Titan Marauder. I don't know what I was thinking when I made that. I should have just done this. Okay, and in-game with a warp shader, it looks pretty good. The edges are pretty straight, and I was going to do something about it, but decided not to. Because I don't want to. And now, not only will the stardust destroy any planets it touches, if planets crash into one another, they take damage, which will eventually lead to their destruction. Planets also get destroyed when colliding with stars and black holes. Stars will do something when planets crash into them, but I'm saving that for later. Kinda jumping all over the place. I had another idea I liked, which was to display a line where the planet you were holding would move in the next few seconds. Here's my finished code for it. Originally, I wanted to flex my supreme intelligence and use integration, but I realized I was stupid, and I didn't know how, so I just used Euler's method instead. Just wanted to show me nailing it first try. And here it is actually working. I think it's pretty useful for placing planets in the orbit you want, because otherwise you just have to guess. And it will tell you if the planet will collide with something with an X as well. So this doesn't actually take into account the future movement of other bodies, but I am not getting into that. It's future me here. I was looking back at it and I realized that integration wouldn't actually have been accurate because the game physics doesn't even calculate itself continuously and uses time steps. So if I had managed to do it, it wouldn't actually have been accurate. So, all in all, I think the lesson I should take from this is that calculus is useless and has zero real-life applications. And now I want to work on the interactions between planets and stars. For one, when planets fall into stars, stars increase in size. Now they'll start shifting colors and will collapse into a black hole, which are smaller and are also unable to be dragged around. And now stars can absorb each other, with the higher mass star absorbing the lower mass one. So I figure I actually need some puzzle elements, so I'm going to add more stardust fields, but with different properties. First of all, this blue stardust will only allow things to travel through it if they aren't selected, otherwise they get destroyed. Yeah, that's it, just one. That's all I could think of. I feel like this game should actually be a game, so I made this planet collector, which is basically the goalpost for where you want to get a certain number of planets in each stage. I just reused the code for the stars and black holes to make it absorb planets. I then added a shake and a little explosion when it collects them as well. And when all the required planets are collected, as indicated by the new UI element in the bottom right there, the game detects that. Right now it just takes you to the start screen, which hasn't been made yet. And with that, I'm going to wrap up this video. You might be thinking, what the heck? This is hardly a game at this point. It's just a sucky universe sandbox clone. And yeah, you'd be right. But as usual, this is taking much longer than expected, and I wanted this video out. This game should be finished, and the next video should be out in a few days, or maybe a week at the max. I have a good portion of it done already, as of this recording, so soon. And because I feel guilty that this video was cut short, I'm not even going to advertise my mobile game, Cavern Clinger, which you can download for free on the iOS App Store or Google Play Store. So, you're welcome. That's it, so see you next time. Bye-bye.